And welcome everybody to the Daily Space Weather. I'm your host, Dan, aka Smash a Match, coming at you from the Smash News Network, least busted name of news. We've got a high-speed solar wind. We've got low levels of solar activity. We've got a cosmic ray update and lots more, like Mauna Loa updates, coming at you from the Smash News Network, least busted name in news. This is the last about 2.5 hours from the GOES 16 SUVI. Having issues with the SDO website here at the moment. And let's bring up some coronagraph imagery here. Check it out. We've got some coronagraphs for you. There we go. There's something. Certainly some CMEs going on here over the past 24 hours. And we deal well with the with the relative shortage of data. See a huge filamentary eruption happening from the southeastern limb of the closest star. SDO site is pretty jacked up here at the moment. Not a lot of data to show you on that. By the way, if you enjoy the content, press like, subscribe, share, etc. If you think censorship is fixed, I don't know what planet you're living on, but it's not fixed in any stretch of the imagination. Once again, welcome to the most detailed daily, that is. The most detailed daily space weather you'll find anywhere in the world. Also the most comprehensive solar imagery that you'll find. Hey Elon, why are we still shadow banned on Twitter, and why haven't you subscribed to the channel? Remember your last Starlink debacle? Well, it would have been prevented had you listened to our forecast about incoming geomagnetic storm conditions. Make sure you'll follow us on Twitter, the, quote, free speech platform, where free speech isn't fixed at all. Shadow bans continue. It's called deboosting now in our new newspeak terminology. And the content moderation has not been fixed at all. A bunch of celebrities with stale ideas accounts have been reactivated. But the shadow bans, otherwise known as deboosting, continue. By the way, the 20 to 60% savings ends today. You can save 20 to 60% store-wide at the Redbubble shop. Links below the video to our merch, as well as on the homepage at smashomash.com. Today's featured product is by the way, those are in order of best-selling. And congratulations on surviving a global pandemic so far. And shout out to the Smash team. Smashomash.com/Smash team is our subscription services site. We replaced Patreon with a superior subscription services site, our own. So give Smash staff a raise by becoming a member of the Smash team at the gold or silver level. Or perhaps pick up some merch to support us that way. Thanks to everybody who has supported the Smash team. Lo the past pushing 6 years of the most comprehensive space weather you'll find anywhere on the internet. Today I'm actually wearing a variant of the Smash team shirt. It is a different color scheme, and the reason is because that is for our annual gold paid up subscription members. At smashomash.com/Smash team. Again, save 20 to 60% store-wide at the Redbubble shop. Links below the video to the merch. Tell your friends and foes about the channel with some perhaps uncontroversial merchandise items. They make great gifts. And let's take a look at what's going on with Mauna Loa. So Mauna Loa erupting in a spectacular fashion. Some of the magma has actually left the lava lake at the top. So as that fills up, some of the lava has broken through and started to cascade down the slopes. So some interesting activity at Mauna Loa, to say the least. There's a great map of the world's largest active volcano. Some more imagery from helicopter. Interestingly enough, it hasn't erupted since 1984, and you're living in 1984. Isn't that a coincidence? Let's see what else is erupting first. Here's some satellite imagery, actually. There's the infrared spectra, and you can indeed see some hot spots there. Some hot spots on the NASA GOES interactive weather satellite. Also some hot spots at Kilauea, it looks like. So a volcanic uptick there at Hawaii, to say the least, as the world's largest active volcano goes active. Shivaluch erupting, producing an 18,000-foot ash plume over the Kamchatka Peninsula. I think that's an uptick at Shivaluch. Semeru, flight level 140 over East Java, Indonesia. Dakono, producing a 7,000-foot ash plume as it explodes. There's the rundown of Mauna Loa, the tallest fountains from 1 to 200 feet. Quote, the fissures sent lava to the northeast and parallel to the rift zone. Lava flows from the two higher fissures moved downslope but stalled about 11 miles from Saddle Road. Fissure 3 is currently feeding lava flows moving east parallel to the northeast rift zone. These remain above 10,000 feet of elevation and over 10 miles from Saddle Road. They do not expect upper fissures to reactivate. However, additional fissures could open along the northeast rift zone below the current location, and lava flows can continue to travel downslope. So it should be interesting to see what goes on with Mauna Loa. Also, Ahi, I don't know how to pronounce it. Ahai, I don't know, A-H-Y-I, that's quite a name. Signs of seismic unrest continue to happen there in the U.S. Mariana Islands. Hydroacoustic sensors at Wake Island. Alert level raised to yellow at the U.S. Mariana Islands. Pavlov also exploding. 18,000-foot ash plume from Pavlov now. So major volcanic uptick here on a worldwide basis, folks. Popocatépetl exploding, flight level 200, 20,000-foot ash plume over central Mexico, 16,000-foot ash plume over Guatemala from Fuego, 21,000-foot ash plume over Ecuador from Sangay, 25,000-foot ash plume over the explosive Sabancaya caldera located in Peru. It's a flight level 250. And please do not pole vault the caldera. Let's talk about seismicity. It's been pretty calm here for the most part over the past 24 hours. No major quakes. And leave us a comment if you've noticed the perhaps inversely proportional relationship between volcanic activity and earthquake activity. Seems like a bit of a downtick in earthquakes at the same time as an uptick in volcanoes. And we've seen this regularly on the channel. I'm not saying there is a correlation, but perhaps there is. Remember, even if there is a correlation, it does not indicate causation. So there's a 2.9 magnitude quake at 2,000 meters above sea level. There's one at 2,600 meters above sea level at a 2.5 magnitude. And one of the largest quakes of the past 24 was a 5.1 at Indonesia. Not a lot of quakes here, but a lot of shaking happening on the big island of Hawaii. Kermadec Islands had a 5.2. Greece had a 5.0. Kermadec Islands had a 5.2. And that's where we'll head back to space. This is actually a ground-based observatory here at El Teide, Spain, looking at the recent solar magnetogram. And things have been largely stable here on the closest star for the past 24 hours. Although some CMEs have happened, we'll tell you how they're directed here momentarily. We'll also show cosmic ray report and lots more. Some very high-speed solar wind coming in as well. The 10.7 centimeter radial flux still only at 107 solar flux units. So there that is in context as we flatline out here at 107 SFU. A solar flux unit is 10,000 joules of radial flux density. That black line is the 10.7. The red line below it is the sunspot number. And looking at the Space Weather Enthusiast dashboard here, expecting some geomagnetic storm conditions coming late in the day on December 1st. So Thursday, December 1st, late in the day, expecting a coronal hole high-speed stream. I would tend to agree with that. We may see it a little bit earlier, maybe as early as like midday on December 1st, but starting out December right with some geomagnetic storm conditions. Some geomagnetic unrest conditions here forecasted by NOAA late tonight and through early tomorrow morning, universal time. Very high-speed coronal hole high-speed stream at the moment. Let's take a look at Earth's magnetic moment from space. This is the last 4 hours of magnetohydrodynamic pressure around the planet. That is our Geospace Magnetosphere movie. And the scale here is nanopascals. So let's look at Earth's magnetic moment from the ground since we've got some considerable high-speed wind. Solar wind, that is. And we do indeed have some aurorae showing up. We did share some auroral imagery this morning on the Twitter account. Twitter.com/smashomash. So that's the last 4 hours of Earth's magnetic moment from the ground. Let's take a look at some more geomagnetic information. There is the earthly geomagnetism, the KP index, the planetary K index, currently at 3.67. Just on this side of geomagnetic unrest conditions. And we just saw a recent uptick here in the solar wind speed once again, pushing 600 kilometers per second. It made it as high as 665 kilometers per second there at one point late in the day yesterday. That was the highest coronal hole high-speed stream that we've seen in quite a long time there. Current conditions are about 600 kilometers per second for the solar wind speed. Solar wind density about 12 protons per cubic centimeter. GOES magnetometer showing characteristically spiky sawtoothed readings there, as we typically do see during coronal hole high-speed streams. No surprises there. Let's take a look at the heliospheric current sheet next. Since there is a South Pole current sheet headed this way, it's not at stereo A yet. And this data, by the way, is derived from 51 ground-based magnetometers, as well as magnetometers on stereo B and on stereo A. Here's our line of sight field plot as we watch the solar polar fields advancing each day on the channel. Here is our coronal hole line of sight plot. We do have some South Pole oriented coronal holes rotating in here in the northeast. See those at the end of the video there. Here's the latest image. And here is the last couple of hours, the last about 2.5 hours from the GOES 16 SUVI and 193 angstroms. Again, expecting a high-speed coronal hole wind stream from that North Pole-oriented coronal hole there in a couple of days. Some major filaments that we'll get to also here. First, sunspots. The sunspot number not growing here. We've only got 3 named groups. And we could see some flaring as these groups approach the limb. That is the most likely place to see a major flare because of the apparent anisotropic nature of solar flare activity. And here's the 284 angstroms wavelength from the GOES 16 SUVI. Huge filament here hanging out right by the equator. just behind that huge North Pole-oriented coronal hole. So lots of features here despite not a lot of sunspots. Next, looking at energetic particles. No relativistic particles showing up lately. The GOES proton flux remains flatlined. GOES X-ray flux here at kind of low levels as well, although we are seeing a little uptick, perhaps as a result of those sunspots approaching the limb. A prime example of how sunspots are brighter in X-ray when viewed from an angle, as opposed to when viewed straight on. Yes, there are some valid physics explanations for this, believe it or not. Next, looking at 94 angstroms here from the GOES 16 SUVI. Once again, it's the past about 2.5 hours of activity. We've got a fantastic prominence to show you later in the video. Let's take a moment to pause for station identification. And thanks for leaving so many comments, Bruce and Mike. Yes, book a flight to the Big Island big time. And let's take a look in an upward fashion at what's going on above our head at Lehigh Valley, Pennsylvania. So here's where things are above our head. We've got Mars setting before the sun rises, and Mars still close to the galactic plane there from our perspective. Let's take a look at the solar system forecast. Here's where things are now. Let's advance it 1 week. Here's where things will be in a week. We've got a full moon coming in about 8 days. Somewhere around December 7th, expecting a full moon. Keep in mind that's not to scale, and let's take a look at cosmic rays. We try to cover them at least once a week or so, so we're going way down south to the land of Antarctica. This is the DOMB Antarctica cosmic ray station, and we're seeing a precipitous downtick in cosmic ray flux over the past 30 days at DOMB Antarctica. DOMC Antarctica, also a significant downtick at DOMC. And let's go way up north to the land of Finland, to Oulu. Oulu also showing a downtick in cosmic ray flux. And let's go much farther south to Mexico City. There's the Mexico City Cosmic Ray Observatory. A downtick at Mexico City as well over the past 30 days. So cosmic ray flux here decreasing, it looks like, on a worldwide basis. Looks like pretty legit figures. Let's take a look at Athens, Greece. Give it a minute. And Athens. Bring us your data, Athens. Athens not showing up with a response. So we'll ignore Athens and we'll look at Apatity and Barentsburg. So significant downtick there at Apatity. And a major downtick at Barentsburg over the past 30 days as well. That's our cosmic ray report, and let's take a look at some coronagraphs. So here are yesterday's frames from George Mason University. We do have a CME happening, a minor CME there sort of in the middle of the video, and then one at the end just propagating. Here's today. You'll see the tail end of that CME happening. And let's take a look at some more images here from the SOHO LASCO C3 at Lagrange 1 and Stereo A at Lagrange 5. So we paused it here since we have this big CME. And you can see it coming out here at around 2 o'clock. Right around midnight, actually, it starts to kind of come out there. Looking like it's way off the Earth line there to the southeast. And when we look at the far side, you can tell indeed that there are no earthly directed CMEs. Earth would be off in this perspective from Stereo A. And you can see a heaping helping nothing. A heaping helping of nothing off in that direction. We'll let that play through. And we do indeed have one video here. It's got some limited data. We put the SDO 304 angstroms in there, and it's only a few frames, unfortunately. But that is not an earthly directed CME. Nowhere near planet Earth. And let's continue on here, because we want to show you this fantastic prominence that we caught last night on the Twitch stream. So part of the reason why we stream on Twitch all day long is to catch fantastic prominences like this one. So check that out. Splentacular prominence there at about 2100. Again, no earthly directed component associated with that filament eruption. And that is quite a good one. And let's continue on to look at the current filament situation. Still lots of huge filaments in the earthly facing zone. So it looks like filament AOC has grown. Filament Chuck Schumer has remained intact. Filament Kamala Harris setting in the southwestern limb, rather. And we're still waiting on the rising of the Eugene Bagashov filament. It must be a late bloomer. Huge prominence down here in the southeast. And here's the GOES 16 SUVI current imagery. That's the last about 2.5 hours. And we've got a prominence kicking off right down here in the south polar region. And it's time for bonus features. Oh. First, the GOES 16 SUVI thematic imagery showing mostly quiet sun there. Mostly that royal blue color there. The sun pretty quiet at the moment, despite some high-speed coronal hole wind streams headed our way. Next, charging hazards. We do see some surface charging hazards here around the Central Pacific. Central Eastern Pacific, that is. And there's your GOES electron flux over the past 3 days. Seeing a little bit higher levels here. And there is the NOAA forecast. NOAA expecting an uptick in the electron flux. Sure. No argument from me. There's the 1-year graph of the electron flux. That's from solon.info, by the way. And we'll take a look at the F ionosphere layer as we do on the daily. So here's the vibrational frequency of the bridge between Earth and space. That's about 300 kilometers of altitude. And see what we see on the anomalygram here. Lots of red. Oh my goodness. Crazy amounts of low frequency anomalies there. Yowzers. That's the most low frequency anomaly we've ever covered on the channel. Huge low frequency anomalies there, stretching from the African Rift Zone down to the South Atlantic anomaly. So I've never quite seen that before. Huge ionosphere signal there. That's anomaly in megahertz from a 30-day median. There's the latest image, 11:45 universal time, in vibrational frequency megahertz. And there's the anomalygram, 12 o'clock universal time, because reasons. Next, we'll show the total electron content. It's the electrons between your GPS satellite and your handset. That's the total electron content between about 12,500 feet of altitude and your GPS handset. Here's an animation of that. We're seeing actually very low electron counts there. And I would tend to agree with NOAA's forecast there for an uptick in the electron flux because we're seeing a little bit more organized total electron contents here. We see them more fixated around the equator at noontime when we have higher levels of electron flux. It's just a correlative fact. Facts. We like them on the channel. Probably why we only have 2.6 thousand subscribers. Next, looking at our latest intensity gram, and just so you know, it is up to date, we will show the timestamps. So there's the intensity gram, there's the colorized magnetogram, and when you look at the timestamp, you can see indeed that it is, well, it's at 1100 at least. It's somewhat up to date. But there's what's going on. The most likely place to see solar flares is from these setting groups down here. And this group up here does remain a beta gamma delta class sunspot group. And how about a little more imagery of the closest star before we move to the realm of meteorology? Because we don't just show you space, we also show you Earth. Of course, meteorology became too easy about 15 years ago. I realized I had to expand. And so here we are in the realm of space weather, moving to Earth weather. And what better transition could you possibly have than transitioning via the nullschool.net auroral imagery? Just splentacular. Those are the most likely places to see aurora here at the moment. There is the southern hemisphere, the aurora australis. There is the northern hemisphere, the aurora borealis. And let's switch to our standard fare, starting out with the surface winds of the eastern world. That's what's going on in the most populated region of the planet, which is right about here. Wow. Inability to mouse. There is the most populated region of the planet. By far. There's like 3 billion people in that area. Here are the jet streams of the eastern world, and shout out to our viewers from all around the planet. Congratulations on realizing the channel exists. Jet streams of the western world looking like this. Surface winds looking like this. Surface winds of the central world looking like this. And there is the jet stream scenario for Europe, Africa, and the Middle East. Continuing on to our clouds and fog maps, there's what's going on over the Americas. You can see the day-night terminator there affecting the satellite instrument there. It's 3.9 nanometer radiation. By the way, if you haven't become a member of SureMed, I'm a member. Why not join? Improve your health with an association membership. It's not insurance. It's the American Better Health Organization, focused on improving your health. Discounts are the least of which will do so. Doctors by phone, counselors by phone, virtual veterinarians, and all kinds of other fantastic features with SureMed. Save cash at the pharmacy counter as well on top of your existing prescription insurance with a SureMed membership. I saved about 80% on an antibiotic back in May, I think it was. June? Maybe it was June. I think it was June. Anyway, consider becoming a member of the Smash Team if you want to support the channel via subscription memberships. Join at the gold or silver level if you want to support the channel by opening your cobweb-encrusted wallet with a few dollars per month. Of course, the best value is the annual gold paid-up subscription. And, of course, that's how you'll get this exclusive design. We only hook up our annual paid-up subscribers with the Smash Team, the exclusive Smash Team design. It's only for annual gold paid-up subscribers. Smashomash.com/SmashTeam will also send you disaster alerts. There are email alerts available there. Check out the Smasho forum if you want to talk about science and other topics. Even memes are posted on the forum. You can also find a link to our Hemp Lucid shop there. Buy one, get one free is back. The most popular is the water-soluble CBD tincture. Lots of other products there. Shop by Solution, fantastic products. We've got to actually do another product review here as we've tried out some more. Shout out to Hemp Lucid, our latest sponsor/affiliate. And of course, you can save 10% with that little clickable coupon there at the bottom of the screen. Click our link, support the channel that way. They make great gifts. You can find the links on the homepage at smashomash.com right there, as well as to SureMed, as well as to Twitter and so on. Welcome to the Neo Renaissance. And once again, congratulations on realizing that the channel exists. We created our website back in 2019 in response to the pathetic and disgusting censorship of Facebook, which, of course, continues. I don't know why people think free speech has been restored on the internet. What a joke. What planet are you living on? What social media are you using? Stale, boring, generic ideas and uninteresting celebrities who are boring and lame are promoted, while fresh ideas are suppressed. Next on weather.gov. Weather.gov. Let's scroll down and see the key. We won't furnish you with any boring, stale, parroted ideas on the channel. That is where things are currently, and lots of weather warnings here. Lots of weather warnings indeed. If your county's lit or your waterway, click your county or waterway. That's some winter storm warnings. Let's take a look at the total accumulated snow depth change in inches for the next 72 hours, and some heavy snows coming to California, Washington especially. California and Washington are going to get plastered, buried in several feet of snow in certain areas. That's your 72-hour GFS positive snow depth change forecast. And here is your GFS 72-hour pressure and precipitation forecast. As you can see, some heavy snows hitting the Pacific Northwest there, even portions of eastern California. This is where things are currently. We've got snow falling over a significant portion of the U.S. Let's just advance this slowly. This is the European forecast, by the way, for pressure and precipitation type. As the snow continues to fall and fall and fall in the Pacific Northwest. Some wet, sloppy conditions coming to coastal Oregon. There's where things will be at 12 noon Eastern Time on a Friday, December 2nd. That's the European model, by the way. This is the NASA GOES lightning mapper. We've got some lightning storms happening in the Gulf, but no terrestrial strikes, it looks like. That's lightningmaps.org. Quite a bit of lightning around the Mediterranean here at the moment. And give it a minute. There is the U.S. Doppler radar. Let's focus on the lower 48 and close this thing out. So there's vertical motion of water droplets, or in this case, lots of snowflakes. Minneapolis receiving some snow. Uh-oh. We've got technical difficulties, folks. Oh my God. Big Tech is shutting us down, folks. Big Tech is shutting us down. Just kidding, folks. Big Tech doesn't shut us down. They just limit our reach so nobody sees the content. What could possibly go wrong? I'll tell you what could possibly go wrong. we could be unable to see our own content. That's what could possibly go wrong. So here is the shortwave radiation map showing clouds and fog. And there is the water vapor map. Got a strong jet stream concentrated jet stream over the U.S. here at the moment. So we should have systems moving through here in a fairly predictable fashion. There is your U.S. Doppler radar to close out things with a recap. Shortwave radiation showing clouds and fog from the NASA GOES Interactive Weather Satellite Suite. And there is the water vapor map. As moisture sweeps toward the Great Lakes, it's time to close this mother out. I've been your host, Dan, a.k.a. Smash-O-Mash, signing off from the Smash News Network, least busted name in news.